I'm going to connect to the VPN. Let's just make sure this works. And what I did is I took some notes today, this afternoon, just sort of like brainstorming random things that I would check if I was in a CCDC competition. So if I was tasked with protecting Linux machines, and I sat down at 2 Linux machines that were super duper hosed, what would I go through? So this is just sort of my off the top of my head list. This is not necessarily like accurate to all distributions. It's not necessarily comprehensive. I would love it if you all have ideas or better ways to solve the things that I have on the list here. By all means, chime in. I don't want this to be a one-way conversation, right? Help me out if you know something else. But I think these are the 2 machines that we're going to be trying to protect. So I guess, Shane would recommend, as the person who built these, should we do them one at a time or like the same thing to each as we go?
Well, they're dependent on one another.
Ah, okay, so I should probably connect into both of them, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. I'm going to pop open a couple more terminals. And can I connect as root?
Yes.
Is that a thing? And is the password one bang?
Absolutely.
Oh, good. So we're off to a great start. Who can tell me what I'm looking at here?
That's the shadow?
That is the shadow file, yes. This is all of your password hashes. So generally speaking, that's not something that you want to share over the network in the MOTD. Okay, so we're off to a good start. We have a tomato machine. Let's open up a new window and let's connect this one to this box, .11. And luckily there's nothing terrible in the MOTD there. So we have tomato and we have squash. Wonderful. I'm going to assume that Shane is already in these boxes, so be gentle with them for just a moment. Okay, so here we go. I want to first just like make the point that there's an infinite number of bad things that might exist on the machine. And so for me to stand up here and say, here's what you look for that's bad is not necessarily a good way to operate. What you really want to be doing is knowing what a good, safe, clean machine looks like, and then sort of diffing that in your mind against what's there that shouldn't be, right? So I'm going to show you some common places to look. I'll show you some commands that you can run to get some information about the machine. But really what I'm doing is looking in places where like sensitive areas of the machine and then diffing in my mind what I think should be there and what I actually see. So let's just go down the list here. I want to look at users and groups. I want to look at file permissions. I want to look at network stuff, processes, services, hardening, and then I have some just fun stuff at the end, some cheap tricks to keep red team out. So let's start right at the top. When I land on the machine, I want to know who is currently connected to it and who has been in the past. So I'm going to run W or who. Maybe I should zoom out a little bit. Can you all still see that okay in that font, I assume? This one's a little bit weird. I'm not totally sure what's going on here. Something feels wrong about the input stream there. And it looks like root is already connected from multiple IP addresses. So this is probably bad. I'm going to double check what my IP address is. I connected as, is it listed here? I am .4. I am SSH'd into both boxes. So the fact that I see .100 and .2 is maybe not ideal. Is there a scoring machine on this network?
You can check scoring.defsec.club and see your score service.
Good idea. So let's just check that real quick. Scoring.defsec.club. Nice. All my services are up. Okay, this is wonderful. So I have a little bit more information about them. Tomato has an FTP server, SSH server, and a web server. Debian has a finger daemon, an SMB share, and a SQL server. Wonderful. Haven't seen fingerd in years. That's a good one. Okay, so I think, we could try to kick out the attacker here. Maybe I should just double check what the scoring engine's IP is. I'm going to assume that one is 100. Let's do like a host scoring defsec.club, but you have to spell it right. Goodness gracious. That one's on a public IP address. Is 100 the scoring engine or no? Okay, so I'm not going to mess with the scoring engine. We're going to do our best to kick out the other user. So this may or may not be a permanent fix, but if we would like to kick out this user, I think we could just check what their bash shell's process ID is. So let's do this, grep for bash. So we're looking to kick out number 2. They're on PTS2. Their process ID then, I think, is this one. So I'm just real quick going to do that. I don't think that that's going to be a permanent fix. I'm guessing this attacker is going to come back. But as I sit here, maybe this will help. So let's see. We'll grep for bash again. We are looking for, let's see, .2 here, which is PTS1.
You can also pass -t to pkill and just do PTS/x.
Say that one more
If
time.
you do pkill -9-t and then PTS/x.
Ooh, Shane just taught me a new trick. Pkill -9-t, and then do that.
PTS/what do you have?
PTS/1. Wonderful. Okay, so that's an even better way. You can kill all processes, I assume, that are children of that pseudo. Got them. Okay, wonderful. So I'm going to assume that that killed your shells. Well, at least for the moment, nobody's connected, so we have a moment of peace and quiet then. So let's go through and let's start looking through this box. That is fun. There's something very janky about this box. My goodness, what have you done, Shane?
It's a Vim terminal mode.
Oh my goodness.
So if you want it back, you do set-o emacs.
What? That?
Yeah.
Okay, this is some jank I have never seen before. That is wild. You're gonna have to teach me about that one after.
You do set-o-vi, then it'll be vi command.
Let's say that one more time. Set
If
O.
you check your bash RC, you'll see the line that did it.
Oh my goodness. This is one of the things on my list, but maybe it's good that we check this first. Yeah, okay. So it looks like the terminal is set in a different mode. We would have gotten to this eventually. Somewhere in the list here is maybe we should check the bash RC file, but I appreciate you letting me know about that one ahead of time. Okay, so just for my own sanity and yours, I think we're going to go ahead and comment out that line. I guess we could take another look at what's in here. Maybe we'll skip ahead to bash RC. So bash RC is the configuration of the shell, and it looks like Shane set it in a different mode. I bet I know what's going on here. Anybody take a wild guess what that beautiful line of code is doing? Anytime you see netcat, yeah, this is a backdoor. Probably we don't want that one as well. And then this is just simply beautiful. VI is nano and nano is VI. That is just gorgeous. So I assume that will change back or something. We'll look into that. Let's maybe check the bash RC file of this as well. .bash RC. And then we'll start back at the top of the list. Oh, wonderful. There's a lot of stuff in here. This all looks fairly normal to me. I don't off the bat see anything that looks strange. So we'll ignore that one for now. So let's start back at the top of our list and let's see what we got here. Okay, so we knew there was somebody who hacked our box. We'll see if we can kick them off. I'm going to go take a look at the etc password file. I'm going to look for users that are root that should not be. So let's take a look at etc password. That maybe network lag, maybe not, I don't know.
It is.
And I'm looking for users that have a user ID 0. I don't see any others off the bat that are user ID 0. These look relatively normal except for all of those. Those are of course not default.
There's a list of valid users on the info page of the scoring.
Really? Right here?
Yeah.
Oh, beautiful. Very nice. Okay, so we have a list of users that the scoring engine is going to log into as well. So probably what I would want to do then is diff this against what's actually there and see if there are any users that don't exist. I think I'm going to punt on that one for now. I don't know. I'm going to punt on that one for now. So that's the users that should be logging in then, I would assume. If we see anybody else logging in, we'll check into that. Let's check the password file on the other machine. And again, you have to spell it right. That's important. I see root is 0, and I don't see anyone else that's 0, so that's good. Sometimes other users will have their user IDs set to 0. What else could we look at in the etc password file? Make sure that their home directories seem reasonable, and make sure that their shells seem reasonable. So I'm going to look through and see if there's anything that has a bash shell but shouldn't. This is fairly normal. Users that should not be logging in over the network are going to be bin no login or bin false or something like that. If I see bin bash on any of these others, that might be suspicious, other than, of course, these users at the end. Admin looks, that one we'll have to look into. So maybe I could cat etc password, grep for bash, and right off the bat, that one stands out to me as problematic. Maybe www data shouldn't have a shell, so let's go ahead and remove that. I'm going to do chsh-s, we'll do user bin no login, or is it sbin? Sbin, no login. Okay, what is it? User sbin no login. chsh user sbin no login www data. Let's fix that. Cannot open etc password. Beautiful. Okay, so here's something that CCDC setup teams also like to do. We should probably check the attributes of the etc password file. And indeed, does anybody know what an I in that position means?
Immutable.
That is immutable. Yeah, that's nobody's allowed to change this file. So you might want to change the attributes to remove the immutable flag from etc password. And now when I try and fix it, that won't. So let's cat our etc password file one more time. Let's look for bash. And I see DSU has an account. Admin and red team looks a little bit suspicious. I'm going to look back at the scoreboard, and I don't see a DSU, an admin, or a red team. So I'm going to just go ahead and remove all of those. Let's do user delete -rf DSU, admin, red team. Can I do multiple at once? Maybe not. Let's try one. Remove that one. Okay, good. We're going to have to chatter, network flag, please hold, -i, etc shadow, and let's delete that one, let's delete that one, and let's delete that one. Now, in a CCDC competition, you want to be careful about deleting things without saving backups. I'm just rolling with it. Fun fact though, in the etc, let's see, each of these files has a version with a dash at the end that should contain an older version. So if you remove a user account that you still needed, that data should be saved there as well, which is handy if you need to quickly restore something. So let's run this one more time. Here's all of the users with bash shells, and I think that all of these are reasonable. Yeah, we'll assume all of those are reasonable. So let's go through that same process over here. Let's look for bash. I see DSU, that looks sketchy. Oh, here we go. Let's see. Maybe that was just me. Yeah, I might, what the heck? Shane, are you writing things to my standard hash?
I am.
Okay, we'll deal with that in a moment. I'm guessing, oh look, there's somebody connected again.
You should read what I wrote.
Read this. Is that the hash of the bin bash executable? Is that the hash that it should be?
No, it's the hash of this.
Oh, look, I understand. This is very clever. Look what Shane's done here. This is super duper clever. Okay, so way down at the end of my list is maybe we should verify checksums of the files on disk. That's at the very end of this presentation. But what Shane has done here, this is very clever, is he has replaced the user sbin no login executable with bin bash. So even though I just changed data to user sbin no login, unfortunately that user still has a shell. So that's great. I think what we're going to do, how are we going to fix this real quick? Oh boy. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to run that one more time, and we're going to change their shell to bin false. And then we're going to double check that one. What was that? SHA something some?
256 something.
Can't type. Network lag. Oh, good. What do you notice? That is exactly the same thing. So we are going to go a step further. We are going to lock out usermod-l data. So now when I look in the shadow file, ideally, that account is locked out. Actually, I don't know that that actually prevents it from being used in that way.
You can
Okay.
make a new bash script that just exits one.
That's a good idea. Like bin true, or did you change that one as well?
Just everything.
Yeah, let's just do, I don't know. Probably I should MD5 sum the whole bin directory and look for those things. Very good. That's a good one. I hadn't thought of that. That's clever. Okay, where was I with this other machine? Okay, so we were going to delete these users. I think Fox is not a valid user. Let's consult our list again. Yeah, Fox is a little bit sketchy, as is DSU, as is Sourdough is legit. That probably needs to stay, although that's not a user that they say should be on the machine. If this is a SQL server, that's important. And was Roundup in the list or not? Roundup was also not in the list. So if we just want to keep somebody from SSHing in as these users, we could lock out the user accounts. I'm not confident that that's going to be enough in the moment to keep Shane out. We'll just do that for now. Maybe we'll lock out DSU as well. Lock those out rather than deleting them. And then what was next on the list? I'm losing my mind here. Okay, so we're going to check to see all their shells. We did that. Let's check in the Etsy shadow file as well, just to see which of these users has passwords. So let's look in Etsy shadow. Root has a password. That's reasonable. All of the users that the scoring engine is going to log in as have passwords. That's reasonable. Network lag. Sometimes, you know, like one of these users will have a password. That would be an indication of something bad. Let's check here as well. Okay. This exclamation mark, by the way, is indicative of the account being locked out, so that's good. Those should have passwords. I see an FTP user, Postgres user, and I think the rest of those are legit. So we've locked out these two accounts, at least for now. Okay, let's check what's next on the list then. So I'm also going to look in the Etsy group file and just see if there's anything that looks suspicious. These groups you might want to pay attention to. Both wheel and sudo can be used as pseudo groups. Of course, others can as well. We will look at those config files in a moment, but these are particularly sensitive. So let's take a look at Etsy/group. And that's a little bit sketchy right off the bat. I could use the user or the group delete, no, the user mod command to get rid of those. I think that I can just delete them as well. That should be fine. Backup, that seems maybe sketchy to me that all of those users are in the backup group. We also have an operator group. If I was being careful, I would check why those are there first, but I'm just going to be adventurous, and we're going to delete them. Is that a bad idea? Maybe. We'll find out. We also have a KVM group. This is going to, I assume, provide access to run virtual machines. I don't think those need to be in that group. And NetDev probably don't need to be in this group as well. You know what? These might just be defaults as you, yeah, okay. We're going to delete that too. I'm assuming that those users don't need that access. If we find out later that they do, there is a backup file saved in that, right? It's still there if we need it. So if red team is currently connected to the box, which they are, they could just quickly copy that file back over. Something to be careful of. Okay, let's check the groups on the other machine. And etc group. And again, I see everybody is in the sudo group. That probably should not be the case. Let's remove those. Oh, there's a lot of them. This is literally all of the users on the machine, isn't it? Wonderful. Okay, let's remove all of those. Let's also remove, so DSU is in a bunch of these groups. I think maybe that's just default. I'm guessing that whoever built the environment didn't do that. Postgres is an SSL cert. Okay, LP admin. These look at least not security sensitive. I could be proven wrong in a minute. We'll see. Okay, so we've looked at the group file. Let's take a look in the sudoers file as well. So everyone knows that sudoers are controlled in the etc sudoers file. What not everyone knows is that there is a whole directory included by default that also contains other things. So, for instance, files named space or files named double space, that's probably not legitimate. But that's very clever. That's very good because when you cd to etc sudoers and you run ls, oh, never mind, it still shows up. That's funny. So let's start with etc sudoers. And let's just check if there's anything in here. That seems reasonable. I'm going to just remove that. I guess we should comment it like this. I've been doing too much assembly programming. And I think I'm going to comment that one out as well. If the scoring engine needed sudo access, now it can't sudo, but I hope it doesn't. Wonderful, operation not permitted. So I'm going to guess that ls adder, I'm going to guess that etc sudoers is also indeed immutable. So maybe let's just do this. Let's do chadder -i star. Okay, and these files are like links, they're not actually files, so I think that's reasonable. Let's try it again now. So we were going to comment out that, nope, that's fine. Comment out that, and comment out that. Ah, now we can save our file. And now let's also check on these. That is uber sketchy. So let's edit this file. Yep, that's going to be problematic. All users can sudo. I'm just going to delete that one. Is that going to work? Boy, I hope so. It's always a little bit questionable running commands like that. Okay, and then let's check on this. And indeed, that's a problem as well. So I'm going to remove that as well. And then it probably would be a good idea to check the readme because usually somebody will put in something like this at the end. Cool. That gets included from the main sudoers file. Okay, got them. Let's check the same thing here. cd etc nano sudoers. Whoops, but we're probably in like vim mode again. Let's just get rid of that. We'll give people access individually if they need it. Let's get rid of that. Did I miss anything at the end? Sometimes, here's another thing to watch out for. Sometimes very evil environment creators will do this, put something way out at the end, so that if you like edit the file, it's gone. That's super evil. Watch out for that. Good, okay. Let's go to sudoers.d. Ah, look at that. Interesting that these don't show up as spaces, probably because the terminal's in a different mode, isn't it?
No, just an ls alias for Ubuntu.
Oh, good point. Yep, good point. cd etc sudoers. Okay, yeah. So I'm going to assume these are just of the same name. Yeah, that's probably bad. Let's delete that one. And let's just go ahead and delete that one too. I'm assuming there's nothing helpful in there. Let's see if they're gone. They are gone. Let's check the readme. Yep, watch out for that. We got it. Very clever. Okay, so we checked our sudoers file. PAM is it's becoming a popular method to backdoor Linux machines. Anybody know what PAM stands for or what that does? This is a lesser known way to quickly backdoor a Linux machine, if you've done the prep work up front, which I assume Shane has. This is the pluggable authentication module daemon, I think. Did I get that right? PAMD. And there are a few config files that you need to check because somebody can add a shared library and backdoor the authentication. So I am going to open these back up and let's look in pam.conf. Okay, all comments, that looks good. Nothing here, unless there's something out at the end that I'm missing, but probably not. Let's check pam.conf here as well. Nothing here, unless there's something out at the end that I'm missing. So I'm going to go to the pam.d directory, and there's going to be a bunch of stuff in here. And probably what I need to do is just look through each of these. So we're going to take a quick look through each of these and see if we see anything sketchy. Root OK is actually reasonable. That sounds like what you'd name a backdoor. That is real. That just includes another one. Ham shells. I think that's okay. That's legit. This is again where looking at these ahead of time would come in really handy. I'm sort of going on my gut instinct here. Unix deny and permit are all defaults. Unix deny, permit, cap, those are all defaults. Unix deny, permit, cap. Unix obscure, these are just parameters. So this is all default. If I saw anything in here like pam underscore red team, pam underscore backdoor, pam underscore a bunch of random letters, that's going to look sketchy. These all mostly look okay. Login UID, I think that one is legitimate. These look good. Nothing there. Okay, these look legitimate. That looks legitimate. Okay. Shane, did you really not backdoor the PAM daemon?
Well, if you notice when you log in, you didn't type a password.
Oh, yeah, it's
Where's the save? So.
So maybe there's a way. So probably we want to look at not all of these GDM ones, but the Unix, let's see, fail delay, UID. I think we're going to want to look at Unix login, other password, policy kit, no login, key in it, Unix, I think. Okay, I may not be as quick with this as I thought I was going to be. These look reasonable. That environment is reasonable. That looks legit. Tell me if I've missed it, Shane.
I'm checking where I think it is.
Don't think so yet.
Yeah, it is where I think it is.
Shells, list file.
Did you already read comment off?
What's that?
Did you already read comment off? Comment off.
Which applies to all of them.
All authentication. Yeah.
Oops, but you have to use 1A. That's important. Okay, let's look through here. So luckily our red team is willing to help us out with what we should be looking for.
Only another box. I don't think that one has it.
Oh, okay, that would be why. I was gonna say it all looks legitimate. Let's look on this machine. So I'm going to go to Etsy, pam.d, and I'm going to look at common auth. In the interest of time, we'll go right to it. Oh, good. Somebody else is already editing that file. Cancel. Close. Is someone else no longer editing? Cool. So let's take a look through this file and see what we have here. And in fact, we could compare this, I suppose, to our other machine. If we assume that this one is good, let's see what looks different. So, success one, commit, auth required. Okay, maybe I don't know as much about this as I thought I did. Shane, point out the problem here.
Check the second one. It uses permit as the fallback.
Permit
And
as
it should
the,
be a deny.
right here.
Yeah.
Wow, that is definitely subtle. So I knew exactly where to look, well, at least within 12 files, and I don't think that I would have noticed that. That is very, very clever. So PAM permit, this is a built-in part of the PAM daemon. Like this isn't custom, this isn't PAM underscore red team, but the problem here is when we are requiring authentication, I guess this just says everything passes, right?
If nothing else succeeds, then that's the one. Right?
So like if
It's
your
enough.
password doesn't work, then it goes, well, okay, we just permit you anyway. That is downright evil. Okay, note to self, learn more about PAM daemon. I know it's here, I know it's something that you should look at, but that is dastardly. I like it. Okay, I'm just gonna leave that for the fun of it, just in case red team needs to get back in. Okay, so look in PAM. We should also check our shell configs. We already looked at the bash rc file, but there's a few others that you might want to be aware of. So .profile, .bash underscore profile, sometimes configuration settings will be stored here. I'm just going to cd to my root directory and do a long listing all. A will show everything, and let's see what we have here. So I'm going to look in .profile. And that, what on earth is that? Is that something you added, Shane?
No.
Okay. That didn't look like something I recognized, but okay, we'll leave that. I probably should look at, let's take one more look here. I don't think that I see anything else here. That looks good. Okay, and so let's cd/root. Let's take another look at this one. And we looked at bash history already. Let's check .profile. That also looks legitimate then. Users.txt, that's helpful. I would bet that that's like all of the users on the box. Okay, so these are the ones that should be here. That's good. Okay, let's start looking at file permissions then.
You might want to take a look at the root level, like etc-bash.bashrc.
Oh, there's another one. Good point. So on Linux machines, oftentimes there's like 6 different configuration files in 6 different locations. You might also check etc bash.bashrc. Let's take a look here as well. I would have thought that it.
Don't tell me this, Hannah.
I would have thought that a locally running or a local .bashrc file to your home directory would override this.
That one's not me.
Maybe there's just a lock file there. Nope. Maybe somebody else's log. Spooky. Okay, let's see if we see anything weird in here. This all looks, that looks mostly legitimate, I think. Maybe not. What is this? Sudo's admin successful. This looks legitimate to me. Okay, Shane, you might have to point it out to me.
It's on the other one.
Oh, okay.
The one I
I was gonna say that all looks good. So let's check etc bash.bashrc over here. And look through. Ah, yes, here we go. So if our user ID is equal to 0, then we change our password to password 1bang. So if you change your password and then you log back in, it gets changed back for you. That is so helpful. I love it. Let's just comment that out. Good catch, thank you. Almost like you knew it was there. Okay, let's take a look at file permissions. So I'm going to look at just a couple of things here. There's a million different find commands that you can run. I am interested in knowing about set user ID or set group ID files. Those, of course, let the file run with the permissions of the user or group that owns it. And a quick way to do that is with the find command. So we're going to search over the whole file system for things of type file. We're not really interested in looking at directories or links or character devices. For things that are executable and have the permissions, and we'll either use 4,000, 2,000, or 6,000. without getting too deep into bit operations and bit fields, 4,000 will be set user ID, 2,000 will be set group ID, and 6,000 will be both. So let's just take a quick look at each of these machines. Find slash, let's do, what do we want? Type F executable, and then our permissions. So type file executable dash perm dash, the syntax is weird, 4,000. So let's see all things that are set user ID. And I'm just gonna look through and see if I see anything that looks odd to me. Right off the bat, that one looks odd. Anybody know what user bin fish, well, usually is, probably is, unless it's something else. In fact, I could run it. Is it installed over here as well? Oh, good. Fish, well, this may be our config file. Fish is the friendly interactive shell. That is equivalent to just having bash set user ID. So I'm gonna go through, and anything else like that looks a little bit sketchy, that probably shouldn't be set user ID. Some of these should be. Cat should probably not be set user ID. ZSH should probably not be set user ID. I'm guessing bin false should not be set user ID. Some things need to be, right? Sue and mount, that's reasonable. Those need to be set user ID, so we're gonna leave those. And this is gonna be a bit of work to go through, but I'll tell you what, I'm gonna point out the ones that look suspicious to me, and I'll change one of them and leave the rest as an exercise to the reader. Suspicious, suspicious, not suspicious, definitely suspicious. Both of these are suspicious. I think that one is not suspicious, not definitely suspicious. That shouldn't exist on a Linux machine. These are all reasonable, suspicious. The bash shell should not be running as root. Vim should probably not be running as root. I believe that does need to be. Shane, you're gonna have to help me if I miss anything, but I think all of those are reasonable.
Except no login.
Which one should not be?
No login.
No,
Yeah.
oh yes, of course. No login should not even be like executable, that shouldn't be a thing. These,
In var www bash.
oh yep, hiding right there up at the top. Var www bash, that's probably not reasonable. Snap, I'll be honest, I don't know enough about snap to tell you why all of those are also there. I assume this is like a ch root thing. So if you want to remove those set user ID bits, you can do chmod -s, like for instance, var www bash should probably not be set user ID, and I could go through and run that 25 times to remove all of the others. I might also be interested in knowing set group ID. There are probably less of these, but it's worth looking at. I think all of these are legit. Is that legit?
Yeah, that one is, but
Okay.
Vim is not.
Oh yeah, that is not legit. Vim should not be set group ID. Looked right past it. Some things need to be, right? In order to edit your cron tab and for that to run via the cron daemon, that probably does need to be set group ID. Wall does need to be set group ID. That one probably is not. That should not be set group ID. Is that legit? There's no way that's legit. Is that a thing?
Yeah.
Okay, see, I don't know my good well enough to know for sure. Spend a long time looking at a Linux box and you will know for sure. Okay, so let's also take a look at this machine. So I'm going to do find slash type F dash executable dash perm, and let's just look for set user ID files. I might look for set group ID as well. So no login, again suspicious. Password, that's reasonable. That is not. That's reasonable. That looks suspicious to me. Fish looks suspicious. Bash. Boy, this is nicely, this is a good one. This is great. And bincat, of course, should not be set user ID as well. In the interest of time, I'm not going to run that command for each of those, but you get the idea. Okay, I also might be interested to know what files are world writable. There are only a few places on the machine that anyone should be able to write to. Can anybody think of one of those? Where should everybody be able to write?
Temp.
Temp. Yeah, actually there's one more. There's a lesser known version. Yeah. Did you all know that in dev SHM, let me do this. That one is also world writable. This is like the in-memory version of temp, so operates faster. That is reasonable. But if I want to find all world writable files, here is a command for doing that. So we're going to search over the whole file system. Xdev excludes things like the proc file system and sys file system. I'm going to look for things that are world writable and are either a file or a directory. We're skipping links, character devices, block devices, all of the rest. I'm super lazy, so I'm just going to like copy that command and paste it here. Oh, and there's a bunch of them. Okay, that looks kind of suspicious to me. That also looks relatively suspicious. I'm guessing that like random users on the box shouldn't be able to edit the shadow file. These might be suspicious, but I think are okay. So systemd tries to isolate every process's temp directory. It tries to give them each a temp directory. And so it is not unreasonable to have all of these weird /temps. That said, I happen to know that Shane once wrote a like backdoor script that uses a file folder in this format. And so it wouldn't surprise me that if I looked through, would I find one in here, Shane?
No, but I'm very impressed you remember that.
Yes. Yeah, so it's something to look at. This is not weird in and of itself, but something to pay attention to. That is definitely not legit. I'm just curious, what the heck is that? Is that like a Metasploit randomly generated thing? And let's take a look at Etsy Shadow. Yeah, so the fact that everybody can read and write the shadow file, that's problematic. I'm not going to go through the motions of fixing all of those things. Let's just do the shadow file. I believe, let's see if this one has default permissions. Yes, that is reasonable. So shadow should be owned by root shadow and should be, okay, someone throw out the 3-number octal code for read, write, nothing. Nice, 660. Yeah, that would be correct. For those of you that are, know your binary numbers, we should be able to change that. Nice. Now that's back to normal. That's good. Okay, so look for world writable files. That's going to be dangerous. Let's check what's going on the network. So depending on what distribution you're using, what version, you either may run ifconfig or maybe IP-CA. Actually, you can just do that, but -C gets you colors. This is the newer way to do it, the better way. This is the old deprecated way. So I haven't even checked to see what version we're running here. This is Ubuntu 21, that's pretty new. And this is Ubuntu, no, Debian 9, which is also relatively new. This is a few years old. Both of these I should be able to do this. And we have one network interface. That's its internal IP address, that makes sense. And let's check here as well. That is its internal IP address, only one network interface. So we only have one interface to worry about here. Boy, this is a lot to talk about. I just realized how long this text file is.
You didn't even look at the services yet.
I didn't, you're right. It's on the list. We'll get to it. Okay, Andrew's gonna try and speed up a little bit. I also might be interested to know what the current firewall rules are. Depending on what type of machine you're using, it might be IP tables, might be NF tables. I love this command, NFT. That's not for using NFTs, but UFW is also sometimes used. Let's just run IP tables. Okay, so let's do NFT list. Oh, and I can't even remember the syntax now. List tables. NFT not found. Okay, and that's not
tables
found.
exist. I think the script deleted it.
Okay, IP tables has been removed. Maybe can we like apt update and apt install IP tables? If we can restore it quickly, that's it's up to
Dash
date.
dash reinstall.
Yeah,
You can comment on all sorts of things. That's how it's done.
is that a thing? Is that how you do it? Oh, that's not going to work.
It's one of Galen's fault. You should edit app sources.
Oh, okay. The apt package manager is configured via files in etc apt right here, and the sources.list file contains, I don't
That
know,
one's not me.
somebody's editing it. So let's cat it instead. Okay, so it looks like all of these have been commented out. The reason that I can't use apt is because all of my repos have been commented out. So maybe, let's see if someone stopped editing.
You can just hit yes.
Can I? Oh yeah, nice, much better. I'm just going to real quick do this. If I can't fix it in a brief moment, we will move along. But let's try that one more time. Take a water break. And maybe we'll check it over here as well. Oh, we're all in caps now. IP tables -L, wonderful, okay. So we currently have no firewall and we are in all except mode. We are not going to get to this in this presentation, but at the very end in the hardening steps, after you have updated things, it would be a great idea to configure a firewall. And if we had hours and hours, I would love to go over that, but I don't know that we're going to. Yeah, okay, so let's go back here. Let's take one more look at IP tables. Hey, it's back! We fixed it. And there's no firewall here as well. Note to self, that's something that we're going to need to fix eventually. It also might be a good idea to see what ports are listening, what services are listening on what ports. Again, depending on what version of the distribution you're using, this may be netstat or it may be the new socket statistics, I think. That's what that stands for. Let's try the newer version. So we will do SSLPMT. Oh, and there is a lot. My goodness, okay. So we have, it looks like Nginx. We have a web server, we have an SSH server. This is normal, that's systemd's DNS service. We are running cups, which is like a print daemon. That's probably not needed. Nginx is also, let's see, it's listening on port 80 and port 80, oh yeah, because this is IPv6. We also have VSFTPD. I am hoping that's version 2.3.4, which you can send a smiley face and it will give you a shell. Was that required by the scoring engine? Yes, that is required. So we can't just remove that. That would be a candidate for removal otherwise. And again, cups is listening here. Let's also check and see what's listening over here. And so lots of stuff, wonderful. INetD. INetD is like a meta service.
That's
What's that?
It's finger.
Oh yes, this is hosting finger, isn't it? INetD can host a lot of different things. In this case, it sounds like it's hosting the finger daemon. Those config files are going to be in etc inetd.d / okay, maybe it's this one. Let's check here. Yeah, and indeed, fingerd is being served via inetd. I am going to leave those as they are for now. That looks reasonable, but that's where you'd look for those things. Let's see what else we have here. We have a web server. Was this machine supposed to have a web server? It is not. So that might be a candidate for removal. We have a print server. We have a SQL server on port 1337. That's a little bit weird, but okay. We have a netcat service. Helpful. I'm just going to go ahead and kill that one. I don't think that netcat should probably be doing anything. And that may come back. Did we look at Cron yet?
I think you're reading it weird. So netcat was on 1337.
Port 1337.
Yeah.
Oh, you're right. Yes, my apologies. Netcat is on port 1337 with process ID 642, but not anymore. Now it is dead. Let's see if it came back. Yeah, it did. Okay, good. So I'm guessing that probably we'll need to check the cron tabs. We will look at that in a moment. SQL Server, SMB server, those are all supposed to be there. So we're going to need to do something about that netcat shell. Okay. So it might also be helpful to see what processes are running. PS AUXF will show you a process tree of everything. It is also helpful to know that pkill accepts a -u or -g parameter, which will take a username or group and kill everything running as those. So for instance, if I run PS AUXF and I see that that's odd that those are running, hold on. Those are usually supposed to only run if something has crashed. I think, maybe not. That's probably okay.
No, you're right, but
Is that sketchy then?
no, it's just Ubuntu's bad.
Ubuntu is weird. So it looks like somebody is logged in to the desktop environment. If I wanted to, for instance, kill all processes being run by this user, I'm just going to kind of YOLO it. And we're going to do pkill-u that. And I assume if somebody was logged in on the VM console, they have now been logged out. Galen or Shane, were any of you logged in at the moment? So that's nice. That killed all of that user's processes. Our tkit, that looks super sketchy. Rootkit, I think that's actually legit. So that's okay. I probably don't want to kill everything running as root, but if I saw something suspicious, I would kill it. That looks super duper suspicious. Why is bash running sleep 5? Probably let's just go ahead and kill that one. And phpftpm is reasonable. I'm realizing how much this is to get through. Okay. I'm just gonna call it good there. It's probably not good. We'll pretend like it is. Let's check what's running over here. PS AUXF. Okay. Interesting. This one is running both MySQL and Postgres. Let me check this again, LPNT. So it has both MySQL and Postgres running. That's a little bit odd. Those are the default ports for them, I think, but I'm guessing it doesn't need both SQL servers. So if this was a real competition environment, I would probably try and figure out which one of those was needed and kill the other one. But in the interest of time, let's just move right along. Another popular technique for red teams these days is setting up systemd services as backdoors. So I'm going to look in the systemd timers, which are sort of like the new version of Cron, and let's see if we have a netcat shell or something running here. That looks reasonable, I think. Shane, tell me if I'm missing anything. That looks good. Let's also check this one. So we'll check timers over here. Nope, not that. System CTL list timers, and these are, I think, legit. That all looks legit.
I didn't add any.
Timers there.
It was canceled.
Cool. Okay. So there's no timers. That's good. Let's also check the services. System control list units. That's what I meant. And this is all the services running on the machine. I probably should have done like a -- running because this is going to be a bunch of them. But if I saw anything in here that looked like red team stuff, okay, Shane, in the interest of time, point me to it.
I didn't add any services.
You didn't add any services. Okay,
I remember.
cool. We're safe. There's no systemd services. This is something to look through. I will tell you, this is a great way to backdoor a box. You drop one .service file in a folder in Etsy, and it will be restarted automatically. So let's see if we can track down where that netcat shell was coming from. I'm going to skip over SSH for a moment. We'll look at that in a sec. Let's look at Cron. Cron jobs can be in many different places. They can be in the Cron tab. They can be in any file in these directories. They can also be user-specific cron tabs in this directory. So methodically, let's look at cron tab. And that looks okay. That all looks like default. Let's check it over here. Cron tab. That does not look okay. There's where our netcat shell was coming from, methinks. Or at least one of them. Oh, there's another one in there I missed. Did I miss one in the other cron tab as well? That should not be there. Let's double check this again. Okay, yeah, that one's good. The syntax highlighting really helps. And then let's also go to, let's see, let's do like an ls-lr etc cron star. And we should probably go through each one of these to look for evil, but I'm just gonna take a quick look. These all look legitimate. Shane, for the purpose of time,
Yeah.
anything in here we should look at?
No, I think there might be something var spool, but nothing.
So let's take a look at that then. If I go to var spool cron, cron tabs,
No.
nothing in there. If I had a per user cron tab, if the root user or the Ubuntu user had a cron tab, it would go in here. Let's take a look at this one. Var spool cron tabs, and nothing there as well. Okay, moving right on. Have I missed anything there?
No, you're good.
Okay. It would be funny to create a file called total zero. Note to self. For you red teamers out there. Okay, we are officially out of time. I have a million more things that I wanted to talk about. So let me just let you look at this for a moment. Is there anything on this list that you feel would be helpful to discuss? Take 3 seconds and look at that list. I'm happy to hang out and chat, but I don't want to hold you from your dinner as well. Anything that you don't know about from that list that we should discuss here?
You have configuring a firewall under the hardening section. At mock events and stuff, Red Team has said that firewalls are one of the first things they recommend getting up. What's your opinion on where that should be in the overall process?
So here's the problem. The argument for firewalls going up is you're reducing attack surface, right? If the red team can't touch anything, then they can't hack your machine. The problem is, if you firewall enough that you're blocking everything, you're also not getting points. And in order to, that happy medium, firewalling enough to block evil, but also letting the scoring engine in, you're also letting the red team interact with your web server, and your SQL server, and your SSH server. Anything that should be up, that needs to be up, you're going to have to leave open. And if there's a PHP shell that they can connect to right away, I don't think it really matters. I don't know, I see the argument for it. I don't think that's the first thing that I would go to. I think passwords are the first thing I would go to, which we haven't done at all yet, so.
And there are a lot of PHP shells.
There are? Okay, so let's just take a quick look. My goodness, these boxes are properly hosed. So let's go to var HTML, and oh yeah. I mean, that's what you want to see, right? Hi, what's in hi? Oh, that's wonderful. I would hope that that one would not execute, unless there's a .htaccess file that makes it execute. There is not. So let's take a look at ping. Yeah, I mean that's, what's that?
That's your score service.
Oh, this is the one that I need. Good. That would be something to investigate as well. So, I don't know, maybe a key takeaway from this is it took us an hour just to talk through all of those things, and I don't feel like the box is in any way secure, so good luck at CCDC. Luckily you have 8 hours, but yeah, it's a challenge, right? Let me take a look through here and see if there's anything else that we want to talk about. I will just briefly talk through these. I don't think that we need to run the commands. Look for authorized keys right off the bat. I didn't even remove the shadow file out of the MOTD. That we should have done as well. But also look for authorized key files. In the SSHD config, just don't let root log in. Absolutely not. And if possible, if the scoring engine allows, pub key authentication is great. I doubt that you'll have that luxury. This is also helpful for red teams, so there's really no reason that anyone should be TCP forwarding through your SSH server. Probably disable that one. We looked at cron. I'm not even going to begin to cover this. I will point your attention at these two things though. These might go a long way to plug all of the problems with those shells without having to track them down. If in your php.ini you set disabled functions to disable shell execute, system, eval, popen, pass through, there's a sixth one. There's like 6 different functions that you can use to execute code on PHP, then that will help. Also, open base directory can be used to restrict what the PHP script can access. So even if you have 100 web shells, if all they can do is mess with files in your web directory, maybe that's not a big deal. Yeah, other handle it. Run updates, configure a firewall, maybe at the beginning, maybe not. I don't know, up to you. Fail to ban is helpful. Anybody know what fail to ban is?
Galen just did a nice presentation on it.
We did, yeah. So you should know what fail to ban is. I had some like joke cheap tricks that you could mess with red team on. I will leave you with this because it's hilarious. I'm gonna tell you a quick story, and the moral of the story is whatever works to keep your services up is fine. Like, this is not the real world, it's okay to use cheese. At a CCDC competition several years ago, we had a FreeBSD server running a DNS server, and red team got in, ran rm-rf/, the whole box file system disappeared, but the DNS server was still running in memory, still scoring. And no one, including the red team, could interact with the server to kill the service because there was no shell on the box, right? But it was still running and scoring. Eventually, for whatever reason, the box crashed, and one of our CCDC team members restored it from snapshot, logged in, and RM'd the whole thing himself. And it worked. It stayed up for the whole rest of the competition. So
Perfect. Let's just do that.
yeah, like that might be your best option. I'm not going to recommend that you walk in and just RM your machine on minute 1, but I don't know. This is sort of a cheese is okay. Cheese is good. If cheese works, then use cheese. Anyway, I'm gonna stop there. I don't want to keep anyone from dinner. Would it be helpful if I put this list of stuff somewhere?
Yes, please.
Let's do that. I'm going to SCP, what did I call it? Checklist to Andrew at devpostman.org.
You could put it in Discord too.
Oh, I could. That's even better. Good idea. Where should I put it?
General or research. So you Coach was getting mad about you suggesting cheese. That's what I did for his comp. He got all mad.
Hey, if it works, it works.
Until Green Team was like, hey, why can't I log in?
Okay, why is this
So
not
he was like, why is your site with picture?
upload, not create thread? How do you use Discord?
3 ticks. Double click the plus button.
Double click?
Oh, you don't have 5 perhaps?
Okay, so I'm not crazy. Okay, where can I share something? Research?
Yeah, if it works, it works.
Nope.
Hold on.
Info? Nope. Okay, I'm gonna upload it to the dev server and then we can. Let's do
That's
this.
not my fault.
You're the Discord guy.
Someone explicitly blocked that, and I don't know why. It should be fixed now.
You have to type your password right.
Make him admin.
Dev postman.org.
Alright, you have power to upload according to you.
I do.
If it doesn't work, it's getting.
To general.
Oh yeah, that's what we want to see. Okay. Let's do that. That. There you go. Yeah. It's not beautiful. It's not comprehensive.
It is beautiful.
But maybe it's enough to get you through 8 hours of a competition. It'll keep you busy. So anyway, I'm going to stop there. I don't want to keep you from dinner any longer. Thank you for having me. It's been tons of fun. Thank you to Shane. We're all rooting for you. Have a good one.
bring it up. You wouldn't understand.